Updates all over the place on the Starfield Xbox third party, Xbox putting their video games on other platforms. No update as far as whether or not that's officially happening. No update as far as official details. We did get this statement from Phil Spencer over on Twitter. We're listening and we hear you, he says. We've been planning a business update event for you next week where we look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned. And yeah, that's great. I'm looking forward to it. Again, if you didn't watch my video yet, go check it out. It's yesterday's video where I talked about, if Starfield goes to the PlayStation, I totally get that logic. Xbox is about Game Pass. That's the future. Is this, based off the rumors, a dice roll? Yeah, everything's a dice roll. But that logic makes sense to me. It increases the value of Game Pass. Anyways, fast forward to today, and Twitter especially, but social media. Excuse me, man, I've got a let me take a drink of water here. I got a scratchy throat. But social media, Xbox influencers, quote unquote influencers, guys with following on Twitter that primarily focus on Xbox, just had the biggest overreaction I've ever seen. I've never seen an overreaction like this before on the Xbox side of things. I think it exposed a lot of people as unprofessional, as emotionally attached, and as lacking perspective, honestly. Now, a lot of people who regained my respect, not regained it, but showed why they're at the top of the game. Ryan McCaffrey, for instance, absolutely stud, and a great point. And that point, we'll get to that point here in a minute. But basically, where I do blame Xbox on this is they let the narrative, they've always been bad at this. They let the narrative get away from them. If you remember the Halo Infinite fiasco, the Redfall fiasco, hell, the Xbox One fiasco back in 2013. Was 2013? Back in 2013. They let the narrative get away, and they've never been good at smacking back at it. They've never been good at clamping it down and controlling it. Nintendo and PlayStation are both fantastic at that. Nothing gets away. And there must be something structural there, because that's why you have community managers. That's why you have PR and marketing. It's not marketing, though. It's managing the community. But part of that is managing the narrative and being able to say, these are just rumors. Okay, go be quiet. These are just rumors. Or you've got to be willing to say, frankly, if you have some of these ego influencers saying, that's it, I'm out, I'm leaving the game, I'm leaving Xbox for forever, you have to be able to say, well, see ya. Don't let the door hit you. Honestly, that's how I feel. This overreaction, Microsoft, Xbox being held hostage by these overreactions constantly, it gets old, guys. And I am not saying that you cannot be concerned about this. You can, and there's a lot of people with concerns about this move that express those concerns in a logical, rational, well thought out manner with perspective. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about here is people just wanting to burn the house down because things aren't going the way that they thought it should go. That doesn't make any sense. Microsoft doesn't owe you anything. Xbox doesn't owe you anything. If you're an Xbox influencer, guess what? Xbox does not answer to you. Unless your name is Taylor Swift and you have billions and billions of fans and are powerfully influential that way, Xbox does not answer to you and doesn't have to run things past you. And I just got the feeling from so many of these Xbox influencers, particularly here on social media, that it's just an ego move and it shattered their whole world. And honestly, good riddance. Good riddance. Ego killed. Ego destroys, man. Hopefully some of these guys can humble themselves and come back to it. Let's go through some of these takes, though. The first one is a response to this Phil Spencer. Oh, no, it's not. Where did I put that one? Oh, I guess I missed it. Oh, it's right here. This first one. So if the rumors are true, here's Extension's response. And I think this is a logical, well thought out response. I disagree with him. He says millions of players would abandon the Xbox ecosystem and move to PlayStation because they could play games from both companies. They're thinking about Starfield. I think players that have an issue with this are thinking about Starfield moving to PlayStation as a play to just get sales. No, think about what it does, how it illustrates the value of Game Pass. That game's going to be $70 on PlayStation. Or guess what? Get Game Pass and you could play it for free. I think that's the strategic move if this is happening that they're making. I could be wrong. It's all speculation on my part. I could be wrong. And so that's not millions of players abandoning the Xbox ecosystem. The Xbox ecosystem is Game Pass. I'm not abandoning that. I'm not abandoning that I'm adding to it, maybe. Sure. I'm adding to it. It also seems like, can I just say this? It also seems like, and tell me what you guys think. It seems like a lot of people who are so heavily invested in the Xbox ecosystem, and I'm sad to say this because I did not think this was, I thought this was more on the Sony side. And I think it's on all sides, obviously. But it seems like that their biggest issue here is that Sony would get something from Xbox and they want PlayStation to hurt versus actually being about what's best for gaming and what's best for Game Pass and the future of Game Pass and the future of Xbox. And that's it. It really seems like that. The other thing, point 5 here that this guy made, and I'm not going through his whole post here, but he also said this would result in Microsoft fully abandoning the Xbox console since players would have no advantage from it. Game Pass is also on PC. Game Pass is the future, guys. Game Pass is the future. They're not abandoning the console either. Nobody's ever said that they're abandoning the console. They're not. A lot of assumptions, in other words, are being made in responses to this, in the reaction to these rumors, instead of people just wait for the facts to come out and then have an opinion. Or you can speculate, but don't get so worked up on what is just at this point speculation. Clobriel is one of the ones who I think really overreacted here. And you can see, actually, there's my response to him right there. Here's an example. He posted that he's leaving. He's changing his account. He's going to retire. He's no longer focusing on Xbox. He says, I know people want me to comment on the elephant in the room. I've already said everything I want to say at this point. And this is after he posted all these things. I'm much more concerned of a breach of trust and credibility with Xbox fans rather than any potential strategy shift itself. I'll let it play out first. And I responded, breach of trust? Really? How have they breached your trust? You want to know how this reads to me? And maybe I'm wrong here. This reads to me, Xbox didn't ask me for my opinion, and this is all news to me, and I don't like it. They don't have to, bro. Like this, to me, this is such an ego. There's no breach of trust of credibility here. What are you talking about? What are you talking? It's not my, I'm not in a, Xbox is not my girlfriend and cheated on me. That's not what this is. This is a strategy. And we don't even know the details of that strategy yet. So breach of trust of credibility. It's these kind of over the top comments that really get to me. And I think it broke a lot of people. I really do. And anyways, let's go next. Peter Ovo. He says, Xbox has lost Tim Dog. Tim Dog's another one with some over-the-top overreactions. Xbox might lose Clobriel. Riskit is unhappy. So many have messaged me, that's 3 people, saying they're leaving Xbox consoles. This is a nightmare. Everybody, social media is an echo chamber. Social media is an echo chamber. How many Xbox gamers are actually even paying attention to this? What percentage? What percentage do you think that know that this is even happening? Do you think it's 1%? Do you think it's less than 1%? Do you think it's 10%? Let's say it's 10%. 10% is a huge number. I don't think it's even close to 10%. I think it's much closer to 1%. But let's say it's 10%. That means 90% of your players don't even care about this. It's not a big deal to them right now. Twitter is an echo chamber. And let me not say echo chamber. Let me say it's Xbox gamers on Twitter with a lot of followers are representative of Xbox gamers on Twitter with a lot of followers. They're not representative of Xbox players everywhere. And a lot of people forget that. And they think that because something exists on this social media platform or that social media platform, and they think because, right here, 3 people are angry at Xbox over this. Over what? Over no details? They think that means that everybody must be. Everybody's not mad. I'm not mad. I actually, based off of my own thinking here or my own, my limited knowledge, I think it could be a strategically smart move. I'm not mad at all about this. Doesn't mean that you can't have concerns. I'm not saying that. You absolutely can have concerns. But this is over the top. It's absolutely, he says this is a nightmare. It's absolutely not a nightmare. What is a nightmare is, here's the thing. See, this is where Xbox needs to be pushing back on this stuff and saying it's not a nightmare. You're a fool. And then promoting people with reasoned responses. That's how you do it. Here's Tim Dog. Speaking of the one who's left, Xbox basically went bankrupt. It was too good to be true. I do feel bad for everyone at Xbox. But for me, if you truly consider me this and that you could have answered my email. So he's talking about, this is where I think it's an ego play. Here's an example. You could have answered my email and give a heads up. They don't owe you a heads up, bro. Why do you think that Xbox owes you anything? They don't. Maybe that's too much to expect, but it sucks seeing this unfold. Once again, I think a lot of these guys on social media are, I'm hearing about something for the first time and I don't like it. They didn't run it past me. They don't have to run it past you. And once again, Xbox is terrible at managing this narrative. You could smack back on this so hard. They had a great, wonderful idea, but it was just something that was unsustainable when everyone and their mother says you suck and legions of people hating on the console just all had a breaking point. It's here now. His breaking point is here. Yeah. Response is, what? You okay? Seriously, dude. Like, Tim, take a break, log off, get some fresh air, play some games. Yeah, that's exactly it. Perspective, guys. We got to keep perspective. And so many of these big influencers, so many of these big social media guys just lack perspective on this issue. Oh, this was extension. There it is. That's the extension response that we already went through. Now let's go to Ryan McCaffrey, who I think made the most pertinent point in all of this. And it's what I've been saying here. I was talking to my brother before I saw this tweet, actually, and just telling him they're terrible at managing the narrative. Xbox is. They got to get better. Sony and Nintendo, you never hear about this from them. It's not that they don't make mistakes. They make tons of mistakes, but they manage the narrative and they do it very, very well. And here's what Ryan McCaffrey said. I respect the heck out of Phil. So this is a response into Phil Spencer's saying, hey, we're going to share more details about you. I respect the heck out of Phil, but constructive criticism time. Their messaging is almost always reactive rather than proactive. 100% agree with that. 100%. Their brand is in a constant defensive state. Yes. And I think there's something structural with that because in order to effectively smack back, you got to give people permission. And when I say smack back, let me unpack that for you. What you smack back against false narratives. You don't allow it to come up. You isolate it, you alienate it, you do not allow it to come up, and then you promote and bring up reasonable, positive points of views. That's how you control the narrative. But you've got to be enabled to do that. And I think there's probably a structural issue that does not enable Xbox social media team, that does not enable their community managers to do that. They should be out here smacking back. You could solve this so fast and control the narrative more. He continues. It's been this way since 2013. It makes them look weak. Honestly, Sony and Nintendo are not like this. It's true. It's very true. Anytime they take a step forward, he continues here, there's seemingly a rake on the ground that smacks them in the face and causes them to stumble backwards, and it's always self-inflicted. Case in point, in 2024, we went for, yay, the developer direct was great, to this happening right now. Exactly. Remember, I said this in yesterday's video. Guys, what's changed? Nothing's changed. Absolutely nothing. Just social media is a Twitter. Ha. There's a Twitter right now, but nothing's changed. The facts on the ground have not changed. Xbox is still in an incredibly strong position. In 2023, you had a killer start to the year with the first developer direct and the shadow drop of Hi-Fi Rush until they failed to see the mess that was Redfall until it was way too late. That constant step forward, step back as much as anything is why I think Xbox fans are just exhausted. That's a great point. That's a great point. As a hardware manufacturer and first-party publisher in the industry, and one of the biggest companies in the industry overall, now more than ever, they just need to be better. That's it. Tell people what's awesome about the platform and then prove it. Show some confidence. Yeah, this is the approach you should take. We are the best. You're with us or you're not. Like, if you don't like the direction we're going, then we may not be for you. And that's it. When you keep coming hat in hand to people, when you keep saying, oh, I'm so sorry, we're messing up, people start to believe that you mess up all the time, that you're not worth it. Stop apologizing. Stop letting the narrative get out of hand. Honestly, we are the best. Xbox should own, we're leading the way. We really are. We're revolutionizing gaming again. And you're with us on this revolution. You're with us on this change. You're with us on leading the way, or you're not. And we're not for you. If you like the things the way they've been, then there are other places for you. But if you want to lead the way, if you want to be out in front, if you want to be ahead, then you should be here at Xbox. That's what we're about. Here's my response, which obviously no one follows me. I said, couldn't agree more. Total overreaction on Twitter that could have been prevented if you control the narrative. Sony and Nintendo do it very well. 1000% concur with that. And then last but not least, we have Jez Gordon. Jez Gordon, I think, went back and forth on this. I respect the hell out of Jez Gordon. He says, I think he was trolling a little bit too. He says, if you're DMing me, sorry, I can't reply to everyone right now. There's too much. Xbox has no plans to quit hardware. Nobody said they did. This is a part of Xbox controlling the narrative. You instantly could have smacked down on that. Satya said at the quarterly earning call that Xbox console users are record high. Yes, heard some games are going multi-platform. Response, in my opinion, in part to Steam Deck having both PlayStation and Xbox exclusives and Steam Deck 2 being more powerful. It's a brave new gaming world is coming. Yes, that's once again, thank you, Jez. That's what I've been saying. That was my video yesterday. This makes sense. What do you think changing the gaming landscape looks like? This is what it looks like. If you're stuck in the old ways, then this may not be the place for you. Xbox, own that narrative. Own that narrative, please. And last but not least, just to prove that not everything, if you're not on Twitter, you had no idea this was happening. You maybe heard some wind of it. You had no idea that this was happening. So I dropped a poll here. Let me hit refresh and see. I dropped a poll just a few hours ago, 3 hours ago. We've got 134 votes. And I said, how do you feel? How do I bring this up? There it is. How do you feel about the internet reaction to the rumors of Xbox games potentially being available on other platforms? It's an overreaction. We need to wait for more info. 38%. I'm concerned, but keeping an open mind. 28%. I'm disappointed by the hysteria from usually level-headed folks. 7%. And it doesn't affect me. I'm just here for games. 27%. So if we take out the 28%, you have 80% of people who this is not a huge concern for them. 80%. And I think that number is actually much higher. I think there's less than 1% of people that are throwing these fits. And honestly, good riddance. Seriously, good riddance. You can have concerns for it. And I think actually in our comments, guys, we are the best community here. The comments here are actually like very well constructed. The comments on my video yesterday that I dropped last night or this morning, or yesterday morning. Sorry, man, I can't speak. Also, those comments are very well constructed, very well thought out. Nobody's freaking. Some people are freaking out, but for the most part, nobody's really freaking out. And that's the point. I genuinely think a lot of this on Twitter is egocentric social media guys. That, hey, you didn't run this past me. Xbox, once again, Xbox doesn't have to run it past you. They shouldn't run it past you. But Ryan McCaffrey is 1000% correct. Shout out to Ryan. I've had Ryan McCaffrey on the X1 Pros podcast that we do. Very nice guy, very professional. He's 100% correct. Control the narrative. Xbox is terrible at it. They've never done it. They've not done it well, and it gets out of hand on social media, and this is how. But remember, that doesn't represent everybody. Anyways, that's my reaction to this whole fiasco. I thought it was worth going over today. Would love to know what you guys think. We're going to see this play out over the next few days. We'll obviously continue to talk about it then. But are you with me? Are you against me? Are you seeing people freak out? Do you think I'm maybe not concerned enough? Let me know in the comments below. Regardless, no matter what side of this you fall in, I love hanging out with you guys. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. My name is X1 the Gamer. We drop Xbox videos. We sit here and talk about it Monday through Friday. Hit it up. Hit it up. Hit it up. I don't know what I'm saying. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.